All right, good morning, everybody. Congratulations on making it to your last day of Dreamforce. And thank you for attending your session. You never know on these last days whether you're going to have 2 or 3 people or a room full. So we thank you for coming. Welcome to Unlock Your Data with Advanced Analytics in the Administrator track. I'm Leanne Merritt, and I'm a Customer Success Manager with Salesforce.com. And joining me today, we have Amy Mildren and Maria Santos from Sterling Commerce. Of course, our safe harbor statement wouldn't be a Salesforce presentation without it. Let's kind of walk through our agenda for the day. We're going to talk about what do we mean by advanced analytics? What are they? And then Amy is going to do a fantastic demo on how to create analytic snapshots using advanced formulas and custom report types. And then Maria is going to talk about how Sterling Commerce uses analytic snapshots to manage their business needs. And then we're going to talk about some of the more advanced chart types and then go through the takeaways, and then we'll have some time for Q&A at the end. But before we get started, I just wanted to kind of see who we have in the audience today. How many of you are administrators? So, great. You're in the administrator track. Perfect. Do we have any people from marketing? A couple? How about anyone on the sales side? Okay, great. Now, how many of you have created an analytic snapshot? Oh, great. Very good. Who has enabled the new charting and reporting features that came? Great. Because some of the chart types we're going to walk through, you won't be able to use unless you've enabled the new reporting types. And last one, how about custom report types? Who's created those? Okay, great. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and bring Amy up to go ahead and walk you through the demo. I'll give you this. Thank you.
Thanks, Leanne. So we're having a contest. It's the last day. We were trying to figure out who was going to fall off the stage first, me with my cast or her with her heels after a week of Dreamforce, right? So good morning, everyone. Obviously, you're here because you're excited about reports, just like I am. Yeah? How many of you saw us last year when we did dashboards and reports? And everybody was excited at that session, too. Do you guys remember me? I was up on stage, jumping jacks. All right, great. So good to see all of you here again. Dreamforce is obviously a very busy, hectic week. So all of you coming here on the last day, professing your love for reports and Salesforce is just very touching to me. I'm just really happy you're here. Great. So why did I go backwards? Here we are. So I'll be covering analytic snapshots, custom report types, and advanced formulas. Obviously, analytic snapshots are great for unlocking trending over time. As you know in Salesforce, reports live and breathe in the system. That's a great thing. It's very exciting. I love that all of my data, I can see it live in action. If records meet the criteria of a report, it's right there. My reports live and breathe. Obviously, some challenges there are it is hard to get some sort of trending data, and Analytic Snapshots solves that problem for you. So for those of you that have played around with Analytic Snapshots, I'm sure you've gained benefit already by playing with that. Custom report types are great because they allow you to sort of modify the report builder. You know, when you're going through the wizard and you're building reports and you're picking the fields that you want to see on a report, custom report types is cool, really cool, because it allows you as an administrator to decide which fields you want to give people access to include in their reports. That's exciting stuff, right? You with me? Okay. Maybe it's not that exciting. And then, of course, advanced formulas. I'm not going to pretend that I'm an advanced formula guru, but I will share some formulas with you. We do have a handout at the end?
Yep.
Great. So we have a handout at the end that will cover a lot of the steps that we're going to go over today, and it will include all of the advanced formulas that you see in my presentation today. So when we get to the screen where there is like a 500-odd character formula, don't feel like you have to furiously write that down, okay? You're cool. We got it printed out for you. You're good to go. You're covered. All right, so I'm going to give you a business use case. Our vice president of sales, with his fancy, almost McDonald's colored tie, would like to see some changes in expected revenue amount on opportunities from week to week. He'd like to see the dollar amount of change and the percentage of change. So that's the use case that I'm going to answer here today as I'm going through this. I'm also going to jump back and forth. I'm going to be in an actual live Salesforce.com org as well as on PowerPoint. Okay? I'll go through analytic snapshots, custom report tapes, and those formulas, and I'll pull it all together for you in the end. Okay? I'll try to go a little slower since it's 9 a.m. and, keep you all with me. All right? Great. Isn't this the funnest slide ever? Okay. So we're going to go over analytic snapshots in 6 easy steps. Step number 1, create a base report. Step 2, we're going to create a custom object. Step number 3, we will actually create our analytic snapshot. Then we will map the fields. We'll schedule the report. How many of you have used report scheduling before, schedule reports before? All right, great. So you'll have seen that before. And then we'll view our results, okay? So I'm going to go ahead and hop right into a Salesforce.com org and go through this. All right, great. Looks familiar. So what's the first thing I said that we needed to do? That's right, create a report. You've had coffee. All right, so without belaboring how to create a report, because this is the admin track, here we are. I have my baseline report. So Maria's actually going to talk about some best practices in reporting and what she's done at Sterling in a little bit. But here is my baseline report. This is essentially information that I'd like to capture in a snapshot basis on a week-to-week basis, okay? So these are the fields that I'm going to leverage. So I've created my report. What's the next thing I do? Woohoo! All right, how many people know how to create a custom object? All right, I'll show you. Here we go. So we go to Setup, Create, Objects, and in here, this is where we can create our custom object. Try not to scroll too much, get you all dizzy. All right, you are getting very sleepy. Okay. So I've created my custom object called Opportunity Pipeline Snapshot. And what I like to do as a best practice, you can do this a couple of ways. You can open up that report inside of Salesforce.com so that you actually have the field labels right there from your report. And I'm a big Alt-Tab person. Anybody else use Alt-Tab all the time in Salesforce? And you know that's a trick in Salesforce, right? You can have as many windows open of Salesforce as you wish, right? So what I'll do when I'm actually creating my custom object is I'll go back and forth between my report and my custom object. Okay? So I have my report here, and I can literally just copy these fields and then move over to my object here and create my fields, okay? So that's how I did this. I went back and forth. Copy, paste, copy, paste. Makes it nice and simple. Okay? So we've created our report. We've created our custom object with our fields. What's next? Oh, yay! Okay, you guys are with me. This is great. Okay. So when we're ready to create, this is in your handout, just so you know. When you're ready to create your analytic snapshot, you go under Administration Setup and Setup, under Data Management and Analytic Snapshots. All right. So here we are. Again, I've gone ahead and created this in advance so that you don't have to watch me fumble through typing out information. But essentially, there's a little wizard, just, pretty typical Salesforce stuff here. It'll walk you through naming your analytic snapshot. It'll ask you who the running user should be. Again, that can be a strategy and the type of information you'd like to capture in your reports or how it should be visible. And then it'll ask you for your source report, which we've created. And it'll ask you for your target object, which is that custom object. Okay? And obviously those two things should match because we used our report to determine which fields should be in our custom object. All right? So once I've got that outlined, it actually displays for you, it's smart enough to know these are all of the fields from my source report, and these are all of the fields in my target object or my custom object. Okay? So this probably looks a little familiar. If anybody's done any custom lead mapping, yeah? Okay, so you've seen this. You know, nothing too tricky here. These are literally just showing you the fields that are available to you from your source report that could fit into the fields that you created on your custom object. Okay? All right, so once you have this mapped, our next step is schedule, right? So I've already scheduled this run here, but a lot of you, you've mentioned that you've already scheduled reports before, so you've seen this before. It's the same thing. Looks exactly the same. It can send a copy to you so that you know that it ran. There's nothing here that's entirely different. It looks exactly the same as scheduling a regular report. Okay? All right. Once we've got it scheduled, we're done. We've created our analytic snapshot. You go in and you review your results. This is kind of cool because it shows you here. I went ahead and scheduled this a couple weeks ago. I wanted to show you kind of the results of my analytic snapshot running. And look how fast that runs. Less than a minute. It's pretty impressive. And you see here, it shows you how many records were created in the target object, 141 records. So in theory, when I go back to my report, those numbers should match up because it's literally taking a copy of these records from my report, right? So I should see 141 values in here unless somebody's playing around with me. 141. Ooh, yay. That's good stuff right there. Okay, not that exciting, but all right. So one thing that I would like to point out, I do have a slide that covers this in just a second, but you'll notice that the type of report that I created was just a basic summary report, okay? So if you look at these fields here, I'm doing straight mappings of my expected revenue or my amounts. These are not summarized fields, okay? So some of you might have created an analytic snapshot where it's showing you, hey, wait a minute, mine's talking about some group thing, all right? So I'm going to just show you the difference real quick. Here's an example of an analytic snapshot that's leveraging a grouped report. Do you see the difference? Because I'm using a grouped report, and everybody knows what a group report is, yes? Everybody knows? Okay, good. So because I'm using a group report, I'm actually able to grab summaries from a group report into my analytic snapshot. Okay? I'm going to make sure that I haven't lost you here. So what I'm talking about, if I go and I look at the source report, this is grouped information. Okay? It's totaling up the information for me here. All right? And when I look at my analytic snapshot, I can select at which level, oops, wrong edit button, at which level I want to capture that grouped summary. See? So it's recognizing my groupings, and it's allowing me to select the grouping levels. Okay? So just note that you will only get those summary options if you do a grouped report. So you will have access to these slides after Dreamforce is all over. I think all of the presentations are available to you online. You'll get some communication from some person who's going to spam you with all of the presentations. So I do have a slide in there that talks about this. That's what that slide means. It's a little fuzzy, but all right. So that's our analytic snapshot. You guys as excited as I am? All right. Go back here. All right, so this is that slide I was mentioning, that you will only get summary, you'll only get the ability to pull summary data into your analytic snapshot if you use a group report. So I do have that slide in here. All right, so now we're going to move on to custom report types. And how many of you have created a custom report type? I saw a few. Okay. So I love custom report types. I think that they are I think they're pretty innovative. For Salesforce to allow you to be able to take that report builder and allow you to determine, as an administrator, which fields you want your users to be able to select without having to go into profiles and field level security and any of that stuff, I think it's a pretty innovative solution. It's pretty cool. So with custom report types, as you know, it allows you to build reports that aren't listed in our standard listed reports. It allows you to combine multiple objects and obviously report on custom objects. We do have a link in here when you do get your hands on this deck that will take you to more information about building custom report types. All right. So the first step in creating custom report types is to select the primary object that you'll be reporting from. You'll label the report type, and you'll select the location of the report. So the label is, when you're in the standard report builder and it says accounts and contacts, you're literally picking that name. That's the label it's talking about. Okay? Selecting the location is in that drop-down on the first page. What kind of report do you want to build? Is it an opportunity report? Is it an account report? That's the location. Okay? So that's what you're doing there. All right. The next step is to create the hierarchy for your report. So there's some pretty exciting things here. It's a little bit hard to see, but if you look, this is where you can get those exception reports. You know when you're building opportunity reports now, or accounts, if you do accounts and opportunities, if you were to use a custom report type, it would allow you to get some of those exception reports where you could say, show me all accounts that don't have opportunities. Okay, that's a good use case. A lot of customers look for that. You can leverage custom report types to get that information. That's what those two little bullet points are saying. It's saying object B may or may not have records. Okay, so use custom report types and play around with that. You can get those exception reports. Okay, you can go 5 levels deep when you're building a custom report type. So in this example, I purposely use this one because it's got a nice kind of flow to it. So we have accounts. Obviously, accounts have opportunities. Opportunities obviously have products. And products you can schedule. Okay, so I just use this as an example to show you a nice hierarchy. All right, so the next step is modifying the report layout and allowing you to add related list info to the report. This is that exciting thing where you can say which fields, when my users are in there building reports, what fields do I actually want them to see? Okay, so you can get rid of all of those extraneous fields that they may or may not be using. Okay, make it really simple for them. There's a real simple wizard. You notice a little hard to see, but on the drop down here on the side, these are actual objects right here, okay, that we selected in our hierarchy. And then as you select those objects, the fields will pop up here, and you drag and drop, just like our page layout editor. Okay? To get even more tricky, you can even add the related lists from the objects that you have tied in to your hierarchy. So as an example, maybe you've selected opportunities as part of your hierarchy, and obviously there are activities off of opportunities. Maybe you want to include that related list. Okay? So you can do that as well. And this is literally creating those sections in the report. You know, when you're going through your report builder and you have all these different sections in there, that's what you're doing here. You're customizing what sections appear and what fields appear in those sections. All right, so now we're going to start to tie all this together. We've created our snapshot. We've gone over custom report types. And we're going to build a custom report and use some really fun formula fields to show changes over time. All right. So in my example here, I'm going back to my opportunity pipeline report, and I'm actually building a custom report that, that's leveraging that custom object. Okay? And I'm selecting a matrix report in this example. Okay? I'm going to summarize the information based on, whatever I'm looking for, what the VP was looking for. He wanted to know who the owner was, and created data information. So I'm summarizing it by that for him. And then I'm taking the summary of the expected revenue because I'll be leveraging that in my advanced formula. So how many of you have used formulas inside of reports yet? A few of you. It is kind of hidden. A little trick about this, you can only use formula fields on reports if you have a summary report or a matrix report. Or wait, I'm lying. A grouped report or, seeing if you're awake, okay? A grouped report or a matrix report. Summary reports do not show this formula thing, just so you know. Formula thing, that's a technical term. All right. So again, don't worry about scribbling down these formulas I'm about to show you. But this is kind of what your little formula editor looks like, and it allows you, it looks very similar to creating formula fields in a, on a record. It allows you to select how the data should appear. Should it be a percent or a number? Include decimal points, and then put in what the formula is, okay? And here's our final result. So you can see here, using our analytic snapshots, week over week, I was able to get the sum of the expected revenue, and leveraging the previous value and the current value formulas, I was able to get the difference between last week and this week, or the last time it was run and this time it was run, and then the percent of increase or decrease. Isn't that exciting? Exciting stuff. All right, so here's the formulas. Don't scribble. It's okay. This is included in your handout. Okay, so you have all of these formulas at your disposal. All right, so I will be bringing up Maria in just a moment to meet with you, but this is Maria's first time speaking at Dreamforce. So just a little word of advice. Maria, just come up on stage, tell your story to 400 of your closest friends about reports. Okay? Maria Santos, everyone. Give her a warm welcome. It's easy.
All right. Good morning, everyone. Thank you, Amy.
You're welcome.
I'm Maria Santos with Sterling Commerce. Now, Sterling Commerce, we've implemented our first implementation with Salesforce.com over 2 years ago, and since then we've grown to over 1,000 end users across the globe with 3 different languages, as well as implemented Serviceforce, created 26 custom objects, and added 7 AppExchange applications. Now I'm going to try to give you the whole spiel in less than 5 seconds. Sterling Commerce is an AT&T company. We provide end-to-end module suite of software and services for multi-channel selling and fulfillment and payment management to enterprise integration of data, files, as well as apps. We have 30 years of B2B experience, around 30,000 customers worldwide, and service 96% of Fortune 100 companies. Now, being that large of a company, of course, there's always going to be questions, lots of questions. Are there gaps in our pipeline? How are we doing against our products in comparison to last year, this year, or sorry, last year, last month, last week? What's changed? Has Maria been sandbagging the last couple of quarters? How many opportunities has she been sandbagging? How frequently? Or has she been playing Bejeweled all day? Now, let's show hands on how many executive drive-bys that you get on a weekly basis with these questions.
Yeah.
All the time? I know there's a lot more. Don't be scared. We're all with you. How many were able to answer those questions with any historical data? Okay. How many of you were just ready to walk off the plank because you didn't have any answers? Winner, winner, chicken dinner, me too. Now at Sterling, we've leveraged Analytical Snapshot to help us answer these types of questions. But the best way to start is to ask the right questions from the right people. And that usually will direct you to where you need to go. As Amy mentioned earlier, what's the first thing we need to do? Base report. I think you guys are somewhat awake still. So we start off by a source report. We're all about pipeline and Sterling. So we created an opportunity report with all our products and keeping in mind all the fields that we want to capture. Now, I'm always paranoid, so I just end up capturing all the fields that's available. And from there, you could always edit down. But I always get everything. Some key fields to always consider in the opportunities are the opportunity stage, the converted amount if you're reporting under different currencies, quarter close date, sales regions, and of course products. Now, following the dotted line, when you run your base report, lo and behold, there's more than 4,000 records. Analytical snapshot, as you all know, has a limit of 2,000. So the best practice that we've done in Sterling is to break down that base report under digestible chunks. We've cloned our reports and we've managed to parse them out under sales regions as well as products. Now, the frequency. Best practice is always go by the lowest common denominator, which is weekly, and then from there you have the freedom to trend by month, week, or year. Now that we created our map, what other tools do we have to consider? What other data do we have to display? How do we want to display our data? With the fiscal period format, it only gave us a format of quarter and year. And we all know we always want to have the years all together and then the fiscal quarter so it all makes sense. So what we've done in sales in Sterling is that we've created a custom report field. And this, you don't have to, I'm sure that they'll give you this formula, to get the fiscal period format and rearrange it and capture it in the custom field. And then we record that into our analytical snapshot. So therefore, when you create your trending reports, you're able to parse out your charts by that denominator as well as your execution periods. Now, organization is always the key to success. My mom always told me that. So keeping all your source reports, there's probably many, depending on how big your company is. So you want to keep the naming conventions very similar so it's easy for you to edit and update as you need be. And always lock down those reports because people, you know, I'm not quite sure how secure your reports are, but somebody could go in there and just totally mess it up, and next week your analytical snapshot is down the trash. Now, X marks the spot. So after you've created your snapshots, you've organized, you've created all the other fields that you need to filter on, you have to test your data. You always test. What we've done is that same thing as Amy did, we took a snapshot 1 week, a couple of days later we took another shot, and from there we tried to make some reports to hopefully construct what you need to show to our executives, show that we have the right products showing the industries, the opportunity stages, and also create any custom trending objects, as well as charts and dashboards. Now, this is an example of some of the trending reports we've done at Sterling. Now, I know it's pretty small, but everything, all the bars are going up, which is all good. Our company, we're still making money somehow. If we're not, we could just mess with the numbers a little bit, but our secret. And you could we're able to, we showcase by every execution, which is a weekly basis. And then on the fiscal period section on the last chart, you could see how the fiscal periods were sorting the way we want them to, having all the years together. And any best practices, always know the questions you're trying to answer, number one. Number two, be aware of the 2,000 limit, because it could totally mess you up 1 week of missing data. Custom object fields, be conscious of what other fields that you may have to create to display your data. And test, and always retest to ensure that all the fields that you want to create and all the analysis you want to show is available. Thank you, and I will turn it over to Leanne.
Great, thank you, Maria. Great job. All right, so does this dashboard look familiar to anyone here? We all have dashboards that look pretty much exactly like this. We have, our favorite pie chart or pie graph. We have a chart. We have, a vertical and horizontal, and then a gauge. And we've actually put in one of the new chart types from summer '09. I think pretty common. When I look at, most of my customers' dashboards, I see the same trend over time. A lot of charts, a lot of gauges, a lot of pies, some donuts, and some funnels. So what we're going to go through for the next few minutes is to talk about some of the more advanced chart types and hopefully give you some use cases of when to use them, what kind of data is good to display on them, and then give you some resources for where you can find out more information about all of our chart types. So first, let's talk about grouped, the horizontal bar and vertical column. So if we go to kind of, talking about what Maria talked about in Amy's scenario, so you have somebody who comes up to you and the question is, can you tell me the amount of deals closed by lead source? So here, for a group chart, it's good for multiple groupings where you want to compare the values within, not the totals. So that's the key. You're looking at the value within, not the total. So if we look at this, deals by lead source, and we look at trade show with the arrow here for the month of, I think that's August, I can't see that far. Yeah, for the month of August, it looks like, that was a huge month for trade show. So it really kind of draws your eye to that. It's very easy to look and point out. So let's look at stacked. So the question here is the number of deals created each month by rep, and we also want to compare the totals. So this is good. The stacked charts are good for multiple groupings where you want to show proportions between the values and each grouping's totals. So if we look here, we have the record count on the y-axis. The x-axis is the created month. And the groupings are the key here. It's the opportunity owner. So I don't have the legend on this chart, but if you look at salesperson orange, looks like he had a phenomenal July and October and might have been on vacation June and August. So again, just trying to give you some real life examples of how effective charts can be. You get a lot from looking at this chart with not even, you don't even have to go to the report. If you want more detail, you want to see the line items, you can flip to the report. So let's talk about stacked to 100%. So the question here is the number of deals proportioned by stage. The stack to 100% is good for multiple groupings where you want to show the proportions between values in each grouping rather than the actual values. So again, looking at the proportion, not the actual value. So here we have the y-axis, which is the sum of the amount. The x-axis is the opportunity name. And how are we grouping this report? We're grouping by opportunity owner. So if we look at Ted Data, he obviously is having a very good year. He's, more than quadrupled the rest of the team. All right, let's move into our line graphs. So a line grouped. The question here is, what are my monthly leads by source? A line grouped, multiple groupings, and the key here is with one important secondary grouping, representing an ordered set of data plus one value. So if we look a little bit closer at the graph here, the y-axis is the record count. The x-axis equals the created month. And what are we grouping by here? If you look at the legend, we're grouping by lead source. So I've highlighted here the blue line for August, and so that was the SR generated lead. So you can easily see, looking at the graph, where you are for leads by lead source. So let's talk about line cumulative. The question here, we want to know the total amount of closed opportunities by day in the current month. So here we have one important grouping representing an ordered set of data. We're looking at one value only on this, summed over any period of time. So if we look at the y-axis, that's our dollar amount. The x-axis is the close day. And what are we grouping by here? We're grouping by the closed month. So now we have a line grouped cumulative. So what we're trying to figure out here is, tell me the total amount of closed opportunities by day for a specified amount of time. So maybe last quarter, current quarter, etc. So here we're looking at one important grouping representing an ordered set of data. We have one value again that's summed over time. So if you look here, the y-axis is the amount, and the x-axis is the close day. So again, very easy to see just from using some of these other chart types. All right, so now we want to walk through what do we want you to take away from today's session. Let's start with Amy. And obviously I think you can see that our theme is the treasure map, unlock your hidden treasure with advanced analytics. So there's a lot of things that you can unlock in your data sets utilizing custom report types, summary reports, and advanced formulas. And think about some lessons learned from Maria. I think probably the most important thing is to test, and retest. And make sure when you're doing your testing, you're testing every single step along the way. You need to test your analytic snapshots. You need to build report tests or test reports and dashboards. So just because you've built the snapshot and you've built the object, what does it look like? When you go to put it on a dashboard, is it displaying the information that you want it to display? And I think another key piece from what Maria said is to make sure that you're asking the right questions early. Planning is a very important part of creating analytic snapshots, summary snapshots, really basically any report or dashboard. You have to make sure that you're really talking to the right people in the organization. You need to be, if you're, especially for opportunity reporting, you're talking to the sales managers. But then don't forget about your users. What do your users want to see on their individual dashboards? What's important to them? I think a habit that a lot of us fall into is we actually just clone the sales manager's dashboard for the salespeople. So think about other things that you can put on their dashboard that are important to them. Include them in the planning process early. I think it'll save you a lot of time and energy later. So iterate. Keep your dashboards and your reports current. We all spend a lot of time putting them out there, the first round, a lot of time in the planning process, a big launch, a big splash, hey, look what we can do, look what we can track. And, then all of a sudden we move on to the next project. So you want to make sure that you're keeping them current. How do you keep them current? Again, socialize with the user community. Schedule your reports and dashboards. Send them out to the users. Make sure that people are using them. Encourage people to manage from their dashboard. You talk to your sales managers. Are you using the application in your one-on-ones with your sales team? And you want to make sure that you utilize the resources that are available to you. And I'm actually going to spend a little bit of time just talking about the resources that we have out there. Have any of you ever read the analytics blog? Okay, just a few of you. I would definitely recommend reading the analytics blog on a regular basis. If you go to our community website and click on the blogs tab, we have blogs from all of our product managers. And Tom Tobin, every time we do a release with new analytics features and functions, goes on and blogs about them, gives you use cases, gives you examples, sample formulas. It's a great way to learn, from the expert, the person who developed it, how to best leverage this for inside your organization. Formulas. I think, Amy said she wasn't a formula guru. I definitely am not either. I can get through Excel just fine. But leverage the resources and help and training for formulas. They go through every single formula function. They give examples. And so all you have to do is a search on operators and functions. And I actually recommend to people just go ahead and print it out, keep it at your desk. And then you can also, since it has the sample formulas in there, if you want to do something similar, just copy and paste it into your formula fields, into the report builder, and edit from there. So at least you have something to start with. There's so many resources out there, you do not need to start from scratch. And there's also a blog on custom formulas. And then chart types. In the summer 09 release notes, and that's when we rolled out, obviously you all know, the new report types. With those summer 09 release notes, there's about 5 or 6 pages of every single chart type that's out there that we offer today, including all the new ones, including the ones I just went over. In fact, if you download those release notes, you'll see that my slides look pretty familiar. I definitely didn't create that myself. But I would definitely recommend, that's a great resource. It's out there, it gives suggestions for types of data that show well on what type of chart. I think that's really the key message, I want to get across to you, at least from my point today, is make sure that your charts are telling the story that you want them to. There's a lot of resources, use them out there. And all of this will be in the handout, and they're going to be passing them out when you walk out, so make sure that you get it. I think to Amy's point about the presentations, we got an email, I think yesterday, that said they're going to be uploaded to the attendee portal over the weekend, so you can log into your Dreamforce attendee portal, download the presentations, and then we're going to put the videos out on YouTube, and those should be out, I think, sometime in December. So definitely utilize all of those resources. Last but not least, this year we're going green, and we don't have paper surveys. So good and bad news, we're definitely green, but we want to make sure that we get your feedback, especially with Dreamforce being so large this year. It's really important to know, do we have enough sessions? Do we have the right content? How are the speakers? And also, what else would you like us to see? What would you like to see next year? We want your ideas, we want your feedback, we want your suggestions for topics. So please do that. I think that there's in the lobby of both buildings, there's an area where you can go online and fill out the surveys. And of course, you can win a Nano. And they're giving away 14 each day, so there's 14 left today. Okay, thank you. That is the end. We'd love to take questions. If you have any, you can come up to the microphone. Any questions? Or we'll be around up here if you want to come up and ask questions. Okay, we do have a question, so go ahead.
Hi. I was wondering if there is any recommendation on trying to get just a sum of lead records and a sum of opportunities that are not related, and being able to divide opportunities by those lead records and just get the conversion ratio when the two objects are not related. If you guys have any recommendations there. Or even maybe somebody in the audience.
I'm going to make sure that I'm on. Yeah, great. So it sounds like the report that you're talking about is the lead conversion report. Okay.
Lead conversion report, okay.
Yeah, okay. So I would leverage a lead conversion report. You can find that in the, when you're going and you're looking for where the source report is, it's under leads.
So you're talking about lead
Yeah, it's
with...
lead with opportunity.
Unfortunately, this is not what we're trying to do. We're trying to get the absolute conversion ratio. So those opportunities would not be actually connected to the leads. The report that you're referring to would presume that those opportunities are actually resulting from the leads being converted. We're talking about an absolute number of leads created in a month, an absolute number of opportunities that are not related to those leads. So to get the absolute conversion ratio.
Right.
So
I would probably do something really tricky and creative with like campaigns or something.
I tried a lot of tricky things.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah.
You know, we can probably spend a little bit more time offline on that one, or if you go to the blog, Tom Tobin, that would be a great place to put that.
Yep.
Yeah. Right, or that.
No, but that's what we're doing now as well. But thank you. That's a great. Unfortunately, we want to be able.
You can show both on dashboards.
I think you could actually do it by doing 2 separate reports to analytical snapshots, and then report off the snapshot of the data, and I think you'd be good to go. So you've
done this before?
Tom taught me.
Yes.
I've done something.
Any other questions? Yes.
I have a question. In your analytic snapshot example, you were using text fields rather than like lookup fields, like for the account name. So example, you were dumping all your opportunity names or account names in there as just text fields, and then if that object was then updated, your analytic snapshot would be out of date. So is there any reason why you chose to use text fields versus trying to use lookup object types, or do you know if that's possible?
I think it has to be a direct correlation with what it is in the original object versus what it is in your custom object. So actually, that is part of the reason why the best practice is to go to the original object where that field resides so that you can see what type of field it is. You know, I've been doing it for a while, so I kind of know which ones are lookups and which ones are not. But you do have to retain what type of field it is. Doesn't allow you to.
But you could change the report to be an ID field and then put it in a lookup field, right?
Yes.
And then in your analytic snapshot report, then you can just
Yes.
reference the field.
Yes, you're
right?
correct.
Okay.
Yeah, you can do that.
Thank you.
Yes.
Is there any way to freeze the headers on reports when you're scrolling?
Freeze the headers.
Yeah, like imagine in Excel you can do a split screen, right? So you can freeze the headers.
Right.
Is there a way to do that?
It's definitely on the roadmap. And if I could, I forgot to say this. There's an analytics roadmap session next, and I would definitely recommend
Where is
attending
that?
it. It is in 306. Is it
No,
here?
this is 306. No.
Oh, yeah? Okay.
Oh, it's 11:30. You're right. Yes.
Yeah,
Sorry.
check that out. Let me tell you, the
But it is
analytics
coming.
roadmap, they are investing a lot of money in analytics this year at Salesforce, and they're doing some really, really fun things. So if you get the opportunity to check out that session, I had the opportunity to see some of the roadmap a couple of months ago, and me being the professed analytics geek that I am, got very, very excited. I mean, nerd laugh and everything. I was like, I was ready to go. So
High
I'm
five.
really excited about the roadmap. Check it out.
Another question?
Yeah, so there are any best practices around creating reports based off multiple related lists? So for example, if I wanted to get an email list from every account that has bought a specific product over the course of a year. Custom report types can't do it because there are 2 related lists down a tree on either side.
Oh, right. I understand what you're talking about. So that's one of the things that they are working on for the roadmap. There's some really exciting things, actually. As an example to that, a specific use case is customers have had a hard time getting account teams and products on reports, and even with some limitations on that. That's a tough one. So they recognize that as a gap, and they are working on resolving that issue. They're getting closer to resolving that. So it is a challenge right now. I think it depends on what the related list is. You can include some of those fields when you're doing that advanced builder. So check that out and see if you can get to it in there. Depending on, oh, I didn't let you do it.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah, sorry. But it is on the way.
Another question?
Yeah,
Yeah, so the naming
can you hear me?
conventions, what we've
I have
done is
reports
that we keep the
that
naming
go month by
conventions
month,
a-
number of cases for a customer. And if there's 0 in a month, the bar is totally missing for that month. So it'll go January straight to March if there were 0 cases for February. And I noticed some of your reports have, the lines going down to 0. Is there a trick to getting those to show up?
So I think probably,
North America, Latin America.
I think it might depend on the chart type. Is it skipping? Is it just in the report?
It's a report on cases created. And if there were 0 cases created for that month, it's totally missing from the
Right, so it's not doing it. And I assume you're doing it by date?
Right.
And so it's not showing up. Yeah, so I guess you could call that a product feature.
What we've done is we've classified region.
It's a feature.
And then
So yeah, it's going to take the absolute value, and if it doesn't know to do a 0, it doesn't give you that kind of exception reporting. The only thing that you might be able to leverage is I did include on one of the slides in there the sum thing, the sum value. So you might be able to do something with contacts where you do a count of number of cases against a contact, and you can fudge that. And if it's 0, it would still show because you're summarizing it by contact or something. So there's some tricky workarounds. I should give you my card. You should talk. But yeah, I know what you're after. It's because you're doing it by date. It's not going to show 0, but you need an exception report essentially. Yeah.
Thanks.
Great.
Yes. What, other than login?
Yeah, they have login rates, but they're looking at historical, who's logging in 3 times a week. It's almost like they're asking you to be the police.
Yeah.
Because we have the stand in the administrator report folder. There are some, I think there's 1 or 2 login reports, and you can customize them. So I think the standard is, number of logins last 7 days. But then you can take that and you can change the dates and change it around. So they're in the administrator report folder.
You could do a daily snap also.
Yes.
Oh yeah, no, don't do that. Use analytic snapshots for that. It'd be awesome. It'd be really good. And there's also the, out on the App Exchange, you guys should all know about the free reports that are out there that you can just download. So there is some good ones about adoption out there that you can snake.
Yeah, on the adoption dashboard.
Yeah, good stuff.
Is there a way to hide the totals on matrix reports? Because sometimes we have reports that we actually just want to use.
I know. Does that drive you crazy?
Columns? Yeah, it does.
Yeah, it's a feature, right? No, unfortunately not. The summary thing, the sums when you're totaling it up, it does act a little bit different, but it's always going to total it on those columns.
And it always goes left to right.
Yeah, always on the ends.
Okay.
Speaking of matrix reports, is there a way to get, when you're summarizing, a count of the master and as well as a count of the detail records? Because if you do a record count, let's say it's accounts with contacts.
Right.
It's always going to count the contacts, and if you want it in the same report to say, I also want to know how many accounts this is there a way to...
I think the only way to do that is if you actually use that as one of your...
Yeah, but if you group on that, it's still... so maybe it's an offline thing, but it's how you count the master, the unique number of master records in that matrix grouping.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying. Any question?
Is there a possibility if they're going to expand the number of custom summaries, formulas you can do? Is it 5?
Yes, it's 5.
It is
5 for...
I can't remember what they said in the roadmap, but I would check. Are you going to be able to go to the roadmap session? Well, so yeah, get that session.
And I know there's an idea out there on the idea exchange for that. So
vote
search on that and vote. And you can also make, then make a comment, or you can also log a case with support too. Yeah. Yep. Yeah. Median.
I don't know if that one's out there. Have you seen them?
It's on the idea exchange. The roadmap doesn't go into that much detail about which formula functions they're going to be releasing next. But I think if you noticed over the last several releases, we've averaged about 3 or 4 new functions. So I can, I haven't seen anything specific to.
Yeah, only in the standard formulas, but I don't think in the reports ones, right?
Yeah.
You could do median in there. Right.
No, that's fine.
Is there any talk on increasing the size from 5,000 characters on custom formulas?
I know it's a very popular idea on the idea exchange.
Yeah, it is. In fact, Leanne and I were both customers, just like, a lot of you here. And when I was working with her as a customer, I remember running into those maxes on some of those things. Yeah, I don't know what the roadmap is. I had one that I built, and it was like 18,000 characters. Yeah, I got a little bit of work to do.
Right. Now, can you parse it into, 2 separate formulas, and then, do an A and a B, and then
yeah. It takes it all, totals it up. Right.
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 So it always comes back to creating a trigger, creating an apex.
Right. Right. So are you able to do, this is such a hack, I'm so embarrassed to talk about this, I should shut my mic off and we should talk offline. Have you ever done where you copy the value, either using a workflow and make it a number or a text, and then do it it's a total hack, but it's an admin nightmare, but you could do it.
Yes. And then I know that you can do it in custom formulas on the report, on the group report.
Right.
That's a hack too. But the problem there is you don't get access to all the fields necessarily.
Right. Yeah, I'm with
The
you.
answer is
Sort of.
All right, well, thank you guys for staying around for questions. We'll be around if you have separate questions for a
And I
few
have more
minutes.
chocolate.
Yeah.
Please take it.
All right, thank you. Safe travels home, everyone.